Joined by none other than Clint Bowyer, driver of the number 14 Haas Automation Ford for Stewart Haas Racing, the pride of Emporia, Kansas. You were in Emporia last night. What were you doing near your old home?
We had another large night as we did our charity event. It was actually the 10th year we've been doing that back home. Tipped the $4 million mark in a small town like that. It was something we was really proud of, and it's always exciting to go back there and give back. It means a lot when you can give back to your own community and make a difference in a lot of people's lives, and lean on peers, partners, sponsors, all the people that come together and make that happen year after year is really gratifying and pretty humbling.
That's awesome. We're going to go ahead and open the floor for questions. If you have a question, raise your hand. We're going to start in the back with Tom, and we'll go up here to Bob.
Hi, Clint. Tom Martin with KCTV. Hey, in what ways do you feel representative of this region, the fans coming out here to see everybody, and what's it like being back here at this track?
You know, it's just an easy sell when you think about Kansas Speedway and you talk about it with our fans, with teams, with crew guys. It just doesn't matter. If you're affiliated with this sport, you enjoy coming to this area, to this racetrack. And, talk about the area. I mean, holy cow, I remember, Tim Carrick sitting over there. I'm looking at him, and I remember, going to Lakeside and racing with him week in and week out and coming by this place and seeing it being built. And it just seems like every single year we come back here, it's something more to enjoy for not only us as race teams, but the fans. There's just not a track where you can walk to all the different things that you can do at Kansas, whether it's good barbecue or shopping, casino, Cabela's. There's something for everybody here.
We'll go next to Bob, then to Todd, then to Claire B.
Bob Parker, ESPN. Any regret with the way the race ended and your outburst a little bit at your crew chief last week? And could that car have continued at all? Obviously, we can't.
No, we had to. That's why we were done. Unfortunately, the rules that you're in, it sucks. It didn't seem like anybody could continue at Talladega, last week. It's just those are frustrating races. It's extremely nerve-wracking. To be dead honest with you, when I'm at home, there's only two tracks that I'm scared of. There's only two tracks in the back of my mind where I think I could lose my life, and those are the only two. So, when things get out of control, you got to remember that we're still out there risking our lives, and there's a lot at stake. So, that's behind us. It seemed like it's been a month ago. I had a sponsor commitment out in New Mexico, and the team took Kurt and went to the Roval. He filled in for me, and then I'm going to fill in for him next week, and we're going to Homestead to try to create a path for our teammate Kevin Harvick to win a championship. I mean, that's the thing about Stewart Haas is there's no quit. It's a collaborative effort with everybody involved and all the race teams, and until we don't have a car in the hunt, that effort's not going to stop.
Go next to Todd, then to Claire.
What's up, Clint? How are you? What is your relationship with Bugga like? How have you enjoyed working with him, and are you looking forward to maybe having some continuity and having the same guy, the same team, the same car, the same shop, for a second straight year? And do you think that can help you looking toward the future?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so much change, and it's not just me. I wasn't just the only piece of the puzzle that changed at Stewart Haas. The manufacturer, just the whole package. I mean, people. It's hard to explain what goes into just uprooting your whole system. I mean, you're talking chassis. That's the easy part, right? The metal, the things that you see from the naked eye. But, your simulation, your whole database. I mean, literally everything that we use as a tool to collectively go to work on a weekend, any given weekend, that whole program has to be rewrote, refined week in and week out, and re-perfected every single time you look at it. I mean, it just takes time, and you start to see the results. The four cars obviously standing out still amongst the other ones, and that's the hardest part, is trying to figure all that out. I mean, at the end of the day, you can have the best computers, you can have all the different stuff. It's still about people. It's still about getting the most. It used to be getting the most out of each other. Now it's about each other getting the most out of the computer. You know what I mean? I mean, it's still about people.
Claire Beeline, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. I know that you felt your car couldn't go on last week, but was there some kind of confusion between you and your crew chief, Mike Bugger Ravitch, initially, and then did you agree later that it couldn't go on, or was there some confusion initially that you thought it could and he thought?
No, I
thought it
knew.
couldn't?
I hit the same damn car 3 times. I knew it was. I think it was a '72 car. Seemed like I'd spin around and no more get it gathered up. He was doing the same thing, and I'd smoke him again, and then we'd both go like crazy, like pinballs, and you'd kind of open your eyes, whatever happened, you get it back underneath of you, and you'd be teed up again. I think it was a '72 car, a light blue car. That's what I remember. I hit it 3 different times, but again, it's just, you know, you get down to the end of those things. There's a point. There's you can feel it as a fan. You can tell it and feel it in the car. There's a point in those races where you have to be in position. You got to be in the hunt, and you know, the one common denominator there is I knew and I felt strongly going into that race there was a Ford going to win that race, and I was, you know, in the back of my mind, there's a handful of tracks that I feel like we can competitively, you know, win at and beat these Toyotas right now. That was one of them, you know. So just a lot of things going on there, and confusion was definitely one of them. That's for damn sure. Well, yeah, that's why we come into the pits and we looked at it, and I mean, like the front end was usually like the one. I think one of those, somebody drove around the track at the beginning of the race and oiled the track down. Had to wait. I think NASCAR made them wait till the race was over 4 hours later, or whenever the hell they got done with it. Unfortunately, I was in Kansas unloading my family. That sucked.
We'll go to Scott, and then we'll go back to Todd.
RBN, the Racing Boys Broadcasting Network. Hey, Clint, last race here, you started 30th, ran 9th. Worked your way up through the field pretty good. You're pretty fast on the sheet here today. Feel pretty good about your chances. And what about that game last night?
I didn't get a chance to see it.
You haven't even watched the game.
Here's what sucked about last night,
Yep.
and not much did, because it was a ton of fun and at home and seeing everybody and raising all the money and the success that we had. You're just so busy. Truth be told, there was I leaned on Jamie Johnson to play, and things get a little out of control at some of my events. And there was a large group at the bar that wouldn't leave the bar, and I'm like, come on, guys, the band's starting, you know. And I figured it out that not only was it a cute girl that was serving the alcohol, it was the alcohol, and then the third aspect of that was the damn Chiefs game was on.
Right.
So I hate to say this in Kansas City, but I had to go up and turn the TV off for a little while to get him back over to see my boy play. And by the time I got back over to the bar to see who won, the game was over, and frustration set in when they gave it up there at the end. But I'm hoping to catch that Monday night game here coming up next week, right?
Right.
And or the week after, and you know, it's just fun, man. Kansas City's, it's rolling right now. If you're a sports fan at all, you know, Ned and the gang is gave us a hell of a run here in the last 3 years or so, and the Chiefs are turning the corner. It's a lot of fun.
And again, started 30th, ran 9th.
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, just kind
It
of
was
your
that.
chances. You were good on the sheet
Well,
here
we
today.
got outran by the LIS machine, as everybody seems to be doing quite regularly these days. So we never got a chance to qualify, so we started at the back and got up through them decent. You know, that was a top 10 day. I feel like the car's making decent grip. You know, I think we need to work on some things for race trim and stuff like that. Obviously, all of us was pretty decent in qualifying trim, but for race, I think we need to be a little bit better. But the hardest thing about practicing right now, you're running around the bottom of the racetrack. You know in the back of your mind, we're going to be up there rim riding and being on the fence, and that creates a whole different animal. So it is kind of tricky to be working on race trim, you know, just to kind of get an idea, you know, on your gaps and all the things that we do that you need to get collected, you know, in practice for tomorrow's practice, or even if it rains tomorrow, even for the race, you know. So there's rhyme and reason to everything we do, and how we do it, and the schedule, how we use and allot your tires, everything that goes into that. So you're going to have to lean on your notes a little bit, especially if we don't get to practice tomorrow or something like that. You're going to have to use that to your advantage. Yep.
We'll go to Todd and then back to Lee.
Couple things. One, do you know who your teammates are going to be next year yet? And do you have anybody in mind? And two, you know, I know you don't like talking about last year and the frustration, and I know that this year it's probably been, you know, you're probably still not where you want to be, but how much would the chance to get a win here kind of salvage something from this season?
Oh God, just to win in general, man. It's been a long time. We're hungry and we're trying and we're getting. You know, that's the frustrating part about looking back at the year. You know, you're getting close to the end. It's just been that way all season long, and that's really not when you look back and I look back at my history. Consistency's always been, you know, what got me and kept me in the running. And this year it's been like a really solid run, a second or something, and followed up with 2 steps back. You know, it seems like you get on a roll, and I think the biggest roll we ever got on was like 3 or 4 races. And, you know, back in the day, you know, we could click off, you know, maybe even as much as 10, you know, and really march up through the points and gain that confidence and everything that goes with it. And these stages have really played a big role in that. You know, qualifying is so important. You got to be able to get out there and get in that clean air and you know, and use that to your advantage, because you just can't race that way anymore. You know, you can't race your way up through them like you used to. Teammates for next year, Kevin's, I don't know. It's not my job. I know I'm going to be there. How about that? I know who's going to be in the 14. Yeah, I know who's going to be in the 4.
Let's go to Lee.
LeeSpencerMotorsport.com. To kind of follow up on that, and after what happened last weekend, would you consider, you know, perhaps going through a crew chief change to try to find the chemistry that you're looking for that might give you that stability that you haven't really had this season?
You know, I don't know. Yeah, it's not time to, you know, it's time to start thinking about that. But at the end of the day, you know, it's all about depth in an organization and building an organization. Obviously, we just talked about teammates and things. You know, there could be, who knows, you know what I mean? There could be a lot of different things that happen in the offseason and stuff for Stuart Haas. You don't know. I don't know that, and you don't know that or anybody else. I think time will tell, you know, and paint a lot clearer picture as we march in and announcements are made and things like that, yeah.
Did you ever work directly with Billy at Michael Waltrip Racing?
Yeah, he was my crew chief.
Well, but for which season was that?
Ooh, 14, I think. 15. Yeah. Huh. Halfway through 15, I think. How would you like me to answer this, Lee? I'll do your. I guess I will say what you want me to say. How would you answer this? You seem to know more about this than I do. My God, Lee. I mean, dude, Jesus.
We'll go to Jerry.
That's ridiculous.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net, Performance Racing Network.
If you do, come by and just write it down, and I'll just tell you what you want me to say. It'll be a lot easier.
You touched on this a little earlier. On the performance side, how much of it is this swap over to Ford from what you guys had, and how much of it is, as others may wonder about chemistry, what's your long-term effect on trying to make these changes and getting everything better?
Let me think about that. You know, everybody sees it. It's you know, there's manufacturers, there's aero changes, there's engines. You know, there's so many pieces to the puzzle that go into the performance side of it. Is there a manufacturer that's ahead of everybody right now on aero side? I believe yes, wholeheartedly. I think it's fair to. I think we can all understand that. I think it's nothing more than stats. You know, paint that picture. I mean, you don't need. It's a black and white picture. Stats don't ever lie, and you know those are real. Do we have work to do with the Fords? Yes. Are the Fords extremely strong on the restrictor plate tracks? Yes. Is there rhyme and reason to that? Yes. You know, you come back to a mile and a half and the roll changes, right? The game changes and the same rules don't apply. So, you know, it's easy to be greedy and want to be the best and dominant on all of them, but you know, the sanction body does a good job or a decent job at keeping that on an even playing field as we go through all these racetracks.
Well, Clint, thanks for taking the time to join us. Good luck tonight in qualifying.